Here I'm joined with Jay, affectionately called Jay. She's gonna introduce herself in a minute. Welcome back to Ref Corner. This is where we give you interviews upon interviews, training schedules, training nutrition. Our referees work all over, international, local, and overseas. All right? Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jay Limon. I'm a referee from Colorado. I've been reffing for about 8 years now and love it.
All right. I remember the first year I came, I saw Jay. She had a little bit more hair,
Yeah, a little
and
bit.
I heard a lot about Jay and from Jay. Now, Jay, how did you get started in refereeing?
So I was in my senior year of high school. My mom was like, you need to get a job so that you can afford things when you're in college. You already spend all your time at the soccer field because I played and my younger sisters played, so our Saturdays were at the soccer field. And she's like, why not just do reffing? So I said, you know what? I love soccer. Sure, why not? And started doing that over the summers while I was in college. And when 2020 hit and we finally got to come back after COVID, I realized that I really love being out here and doing this job. It brings me more joy than playing at this point.
Nice. What was your position when you played?
I was a defender
Defender.
most of the
Okay.
time. Did a little bit of everything except for goalkeeper, but I was mostly a defender.
Right. Let me guess. A lefty?
No,
No.
already actually.
Oh
I used
man.
left. I did use
Yeah,
it,
that
but
one
not
catch me
right.
because when you walk, you seem to be a lefty when I see you walk. I'm sure I'm not the only one to have said that to you.
No, definitely not.
But
the
I
first.
coach back home, and you look like a lefty to me. All right. So moving forward now, in your refereeing career, I've seen you on the line. I've worked with you, and I've also seen you in the middle.
Yeah.
For your preference, which is better to you?
I love being on the line in a way that I don't love being in the middle. I enjoy them both. I learn a lot from doing them both, but there's something about running a line that just like clicks in my brain with what I'm supposed to be paying attention to. There's just something about watching the offside line that clicks so much faster in my head than when I'm in the middle and figuring out I need to be in this specific spot so I can see whatever's about to happen. On the line, it's just this up-down hyper focus on a couple of very specific details, and my brain just snags right into that in a faster, simpler way.
Perfect, perfect. Is it your size? Because back home, they tend to put shorter persons on the lines, and the more taller persons, 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet in the middle. Or is just your preference, as you just explained a while ago?
I don't know that it has anything to do with my size.
Okay.
I think there's definitely moments where I sit there and go, being on the line definitely works better for me than being in the middle because I'm definitely shorter than a lot of, say, U19 boys players.
Mhm.
They tower over me. I expect them to tower over me. I'm not going to see through those bodies. I have to move to see around the bodies.
Right.
On the line, it's just looking straight out. But I don't know that my size has anything to do with it for me. I think that the first 4 years that I was reffing, I did significantly more lines. And so that initial set of experience just gave me more experience there and a greater sense of comfort there.
Right.
That at this point, 8 years later, it's harder to let go of that comfort.
Okay, great. Back home, we have, I think, 5 levels. So what you guys call grassroots here, we call it level 5. So we go up. So we have 5,
Okay.
4, 3, 2, 1. So 1 is like a FIFA referee or an assistant FIFA referee. 2 may be a national. How is the level here in the US?
It's technically separated into about 3 levels. We've got our basic referee, the beginners, and then we've got the next level. Oh, that's not true. We have more than 3 levels. Sorry. We have the basic referee, all the beginners, people who are just looking to referee, not necessarily progress. From there, we've got the regional referees who do some higher level games, a little more of the intense adult games, starting to creep in towards the semi-pro level games. And then from there, you've got your national referees who dip into the professional pool. So they do like the NWSL and the MLS and USL
Right,
games.
right.
And then from there, we've got the FIFAs as well.
Okay, okay. How is the abuse here in Colorado comparing to other states that you have been to? Because I'm pretty sure you've go to other states and do other tournaments.
I think the referee abuse here versus in other states is about the same a lot of the time. I think that some of them it is very tournament based. Like if you go to a girls' academy event or an ECNL event, some of those teams just care a lot more than if you do like a local club tournament. It's about the level of competition, I think, that turns that referee abuse up or down. The more that people understand the game,
Right.
brings up the intensity from a lot of the spectators. I think the players are relatively respectful in Colorado, and that different states like Texas, I think that I've felt a lot more referee abuse from the teams and players there than certain other places.
Okay, okay, got it. All right, I'm gonna flip your brain a little bit now. I'm gonna go to the good and the bad. Every referee has one of those days, whether you're starting last week, 2 weeks, 3 years ago. Give me your worst moment as a referee to date, and what has that done for you? Worst and most beautiful, best moment.
Okay. So my worst moment as a referee, I did an adult tournament a few years back, and called a lot of things in the game, had a lot of yellows, a handful of reds. I felt good about how I performed in the game. Looking back, I know that there are things I could have done better, differently, that maybe would have changed what happened, but I felt good about the game. After the game, I went up to my car and I had a rock through my back windshield, and then I had no back windshield. So
Wow.
that took that I just did a really good job on this game way down the other direction to me freaking out going, I have to drive 2 hours to get home, I have no windshield,
Wow.
I have everything else. I was supposed to do more games that day. It took what felt good way down to the worst I've ever felt after a roughing game. From that, I learned, number one, when you send somebody off, make sure that they do what they're supposed to and leave, because I didn't. It's just one of those things that in that moment I just didn't think about, because you can't do it on a youth game. The kids have to stay, and these are adults.
Right,
They
right.
can leave. They
Right.
need to leave. Number two, I just need to talk to people less sometimes and just exude just a little bit more confidence in certain moments where I'm not feeling it. I felt good about what I did, but I know that there were moments where I was a little too hesitant with what I did on the field. And then number three, the third biggest thing I learned is that you're never gonna make everybody happy. And in the moments where they're extra unhappy with you, ignore them. Let it go. Find a way to move on, and find the people that are gonna support you and build you up. I felt a lot of love from my community and everything in the next few weeks afterwards, and that was part of what helped build me back up from that very, very low. On flip side, one of my best games, one of my favorite games, would be like a U15 girls game, I think. I've got this team here that they play really beautiful soccer. I've watched them grow up and get better over the last couple of years, and they move in such a way that it makes it fun to watch and fun to ref, and it's very simple feeling. And I had an injury in the last year. I came back, and they were one of my first handful of games back, and it just felt right again. It was one of those moments where you're moving around and everything feels like it's clicking. The fouls are just simple clicking. You're on it. Nobody's complaining too much more than you would expect, and everything just felt like it had a really nice rhythm and flow. I felt like I was moving really strong, really good, and my body felt right about it. So I think that would be kind of where my best game is.
All right, nice. So I tell my players back home, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach back home. Football for me is a microcosm of life.
Yeah.
Football is just like life. I have been doing this for more than 2 decades. Want to ask you, how has refereeing, I know you played football, but how has refereeing helped you in your daily life?
So I've been in soccer for all my life, one way or another, and it wasn't until recently that I completely stopped playing and focus solely on reffing. And I think that reffing has helped me in my day-to-day life and everything else that I do because it gives me a community. It helps me work on my social skills. I grew up homeschooled. I didn't meet a lot of people outside of soccer. And now with reffing, I can travel and I can put myself into situations that are generally kind of uncomfortable if you go alone, and I did, I have. And you're gonna be with people who you have one thing in common, but that one thing is kind of everything from the moment that you're there, and it makes it so much simpler. And it helps you find that common ground. It helps me be a little bit more confident, be a little bit more sure of myself in different moments and different things in life where I maybe questioned myself a little bit more before. Nah, not so much anymore.
All
Just
right.
go with the flow with it.
Nice, great. So in summing up, I just have two questions.
Okay.
All right. So two questions. The first one is, how do you see yourself? I mean, you've been reffing for quite some time, and everybody I know doesn't want to stay at the same place all the time.
Yeah.
They want to propel, they want to elevate. How do you see yourself in 2 to 3 years?
In 2 to 3 years, I see myself working towards a national badge. Within the next year, maybe two, worst case scenario, I see myself regaining a regional badge. I had it, I got hurt, lost it, I'm gonna get it back. From there, I want to keep working at that regional level, keep growing, keep getting better and better and better until I can get that national and start doing those pro games and keep growing and growing and growing from there.
All right. And the last thing I want to ask you, if you have an advice to persons who want to join refereeing, young ladies like yourselves, persons who may have been playing for a time and they got injured and want to transition into refereeing, still want to be involved in football, what would you say to them?
Number one thing, if you love this game, you know that you can't keep playing, you don't feel great about the idea of coaching, try it. Just try it. Maybe it's not for you, but at least you can say that you tried it. And when I say try it, I don't mean go out for one weekend, do a couple of games. Stick with it for at least 6 months, do it regularly, see if you like it, because if you don't do it regularly, you're only going to focus on the first couple of games. You got to actually get out there, try it again, and just feel it. If you know this game, if you've played this game, if you've watched this game, you already understand so much more about reffing than you think you do. It makes it that much easier to move when you're in the middle of the field because you know where you'd be if you were a player, and that's probably where half those kids are going. Just try it. It's worth it.
All right. I want to thank you again, Jay Limon, for joining us here on Ref Corner. I want to say I am truly honored and grateful to do this interview with you. Thanks again, and peace out. Ref Corner. All right.